Welcome to another home training session. I am Reese and I will be leading you through a series of exercises today in a home training session that is mostly about ball control, but this will be what I am calling a mixed bag of fun today. We're going to do some skill moves to start off, then we're going to do some passing, receiving, turning, ball control added on to that as well. And we're going to end with a fitness challenge that also incorporates a bit of ball control. We're going to do a variety of different things that will be lots of fun today. So for this session, you are going to need 4 different items. Mine are different colors. It's not the biggest deal in the world if you do not have 4 different colored items. However, it will improve this session for you if you do. You need a ball, and you also need some kind of wall, rebounder, couch, something to bounce a ball off of. It's going to be a very light pass today, nothing too hard. So if you have been afraid of using a wall or a couch in the past because you don't want to be having too hard of a pass against it, it's going to be really soft passes today when we're using that. So keep that in mind. And of course, at the end, there is going to be a fitness challenge. But let's not delay any longer. Let's get right into this session. So you need to set up your 4 colors, your items. You need to start about 4 steps from the very top. You'll see I've made a bit of a half circle for myself. Each cone is about 2 steps away from each other. You'll see my green and yellow cones there are in a bit of a diagonal line from the blue and red, and the blue and red are in the same parallel line. And then if you have space to get 4 steps away from, for example, from red and blue, do so. If you can only even go like 1 step past green and yellow, that's not a problem at all. You just need a little bit of space to do this and have to dribble up to the cones, scan the field, and look at what's around you. So having just a little bit of extra space will help, but if you don't have that, it's okay. Moving on, we're going to start with toe taps. Now, this is just one that is done as a warm-up as we progress into more difficult ball control moves, just trying to keep your head up as you're touching the ball and not let it move. And then you're going to move on to hops over the ball, very light, nothing too intense. You can do side to side and forward to backwards, just getting your body warmed up here. You're not trying to do it back and forth as fast as you can. Just a light warm up here to set the tone right for the rest of the session. All of these are just warm up ball control moves, and then I'm going to move on to more of a skill moves. So this one is back and forth between my legs using the inside of my feet, and I'm just keeping the ball nice and under control, and I'm also trying to keep my head up as I do it. Then we're moving up to squares, and for this square I'm going to do a touch, roll over, pull back, touch, roll over, pull back. So I'm rolling over from my right foot, pulling back with my left foot, and then touching with the left, touching with the right, and the cycle repeats. And then I'm going to switch over to my left foot as the one that's rolling over, my right foot as the one that's pulling back, touch, roll over, pull back, touch, roll over, pull back. You can do squares in a bunch of different ways. This is just the way I've chosen to do it because of the ease at which you can do it at speed, doing it this way. Also a good way to start warming up in terms of practicing things like pullbacks and rollovers, which we are going to do quite a bit in this session. So now you can turn around facing away from those 4 cones, because for today's session, you are going to want to have some scanning of the field in here. So you don't want to know exactly where the colors are. You want to get there as quickly as you can without necessarily knowing right away where's red, where's blue, where's yellow, where's green. So the first skill move that we're going to do as we face away from our colors is we're going to do rollovers. So I'm putting my foot on top of the ball and then I'm just rolling it over to the other foot. You'll notice as I roll it over, I cross over that foot as well, and then I just readjust my body position to take it with the foot that had just been crossed over. It's really crucial, have the weight of your body going in the direction that you want to go. So as I want to roll it over to my left, I'm already leaning to the left and I roll it over. Now, when you hear a color, you're going to go to that color. I'm not going to call them for you. You can either have someone call a color for you, such as a parent, a sibling, or you can have a color in mind, scan the field every once in a while, go to it, and then go back to the next skill move. It's completely okay. Again, if you don't have anyone to call colors for you, call it for yourself. That's okay. You might have different colors than I do. That's okay. Moving on, next skill move is the step over. One of my favorites. We've done it in just about all of the sessions on ball control and skill moves and dribbling that you'll see. A great one to turn away from pressure and move it back into space. So as I go to the direction of one side, I'm going to step over the ball with one foot and then take it back with an outside touch with the same foot. And if I want to really sell it, I'm going to have a stronger fake with a quicker step over, meaning more exaggerated in my foot, more exaggerated in my arms. You'll see here, this isn't really that exaggerated. If you really want to fake out your player, you need to do it better than I am here in terms of really selling it by really making it look like you're going to fake a shot or a pass, and then instead you step over the ball. Moving on to the next skill move, when you're ready, feel free to pause the video at any time to continue doing the step over. You don't have to rush into the next skill move. These videos are all cut down significantly, so the amount of time I spent doing the step over was longer than the amount of time that you just saw. So the next one is the V push, where I roll it back from one foot to the other. Really key, as always, adjusting the hips as you pull it back. As soon as the right foot pulls it back, it's going to hop in the air and my hips are going to readjust completely the other way. I hear a color, I go to that color, and then I go back in to do the skill move. But we are moving on to a different skill move right here, which is the chop. So I'm going to show you it facing forwards and backwards here. So you want to take an outside touch here to set yourself up, and then get your body position where you have your other foot in front of the foot that you want to chop it with. Chop it back through that leg. If your foot is too close, you're going to end up just hitting that leg. You need to create that distance from one leg to the other. I'm also showing you a bit of an arm swing here because this is a great one for a fake pass or a fake shot again. So if I use the arm as an exaggeration that I'm going to pass or shoot, I can fake out my defender much easier than I could if I didn't have that arm swing, because that arm swing is suggesting that I'm about to pass or shoot rather than continue to dribble. And so when you chop it back, feel free to practice different things such as faking it with an arm swing as well. Next skill move is going to incorporate both the V push and the chop. So I'm going to start on my left side here, pull it back from left foot to right foot to touch it out into space with my right foot. And then instantly I realize the danger is there. I don't want to go in that direction any longer. So I'm going to chop it back onto my left foot and start again. So one more time, pull it back with the left foot, right foot takes it into space, chop with the right foot back onto the left, and we start the process all over again. So the space that I am using to do skill moves like this, by the way, is not that much. I'm doing about 3 steps here, so you don't need that much space. You could even do it with less and just keeping the ball even tighter and force yourself to really keep the ball under control here. This one needs a little bit more space because you're taking it essentially from one side of that space to the other, but it is completely okay if you don't have that same level of space that I do right here. I'm moving on to the right foot, rolling it back with my right, taking it out with my left, and then chopping it back with my left. And I'm going to do that 5 or 6 times, or until I hear a color, until I call a color for myself, until I feel like I've gotten the hang of it. Practice it until you really got it down, and then move on to the next one, which is very similar, where we're doing a V push now into space and then doing a step over to turn back. So a very similar idea. We've realized after the skill move that, you know what, that space that we wanted to advance into, it's not going to be a good idea to go there. So we're going to turn and go back, roll it back from the left, touch it out with the right, step over with the right to take it back with the right foot, or you can step over with the left here to take it back with the left foot. Either one would be fine. And make sure you do that one on both sides as well. right foot to left foot, then a step over, and left foot to right foot, and then a step over. You can alternate each side each time, or you can just move on once you do a set of 5 to 10. Now, moving on to the L turn. This is where you are going to face the wall there, and you're going to pull it back and push it out with the same foot into space. Then once you get there, you've realized again, there's not actually as much space as I thought there would be here. So I'm going to pull it back and push it out back the way I came with my left foot. So I'm alternating feet each time as I do this L turn, 90-degree turns here. And the hips are constantly adjusting. Players who struggle with this one don't adjust their hips. And I'm going to do the exact same thing now on the other side, just with different feet now. So I'm pulling it back with the left foot, pushing it out with the left foot, pulling it back with the right foot, pushing out with the right foot. Get into a rhythm here if you've got it down. If you don't, keep trying it this one, because I know the L turn is not one of the easier ones for young players, so give it a practice. This is the crown, also a little bit more advanced. We're pulling it back and then through the legs, so we need that distance again between the two legs to get it through. And it's a very light touch. You'll notice each time I do this, watch what the other foot that isn't on the ball does. It always has a little bit of a hop to readjust my body position in the direction I want to go next. It's never just staying on the floor as well. You can see it here on the left side especially, where that foot that's not using the ball is not remaining on the ground. It has a little bit of a hop to adjust my body momentum to allow me to then take it into space where I want to go. And I believe now we are moving on to anything you want, anything that comes to mind. It is entirely up to you on what you do. If you don't have ideas of what to do, feel free to follow and copy some of the ones I'm doing here, but give some different skills a try. Don't just do the things you are most comfortable with, as we've talked about in the past. Do some different tricky ones. Really practice what you are struggling with here. If you want to get better in this lockdown period, it's important that you do stuff that you're uncomfortable with, that you're not good at. You might never get a chance as great as this to just practice a ton of different skill moves, because it's one of the only things we can do right now. So give yourself a chance right now to get as many skill moves down as you can. And this is the freestyle section of this, where you get to choose what you do. So I highly encourage you, try things that we didn't even talk about. Stuff like 360s, even just basic pullbacks. I mean, that's not a difficult one, but that's one that we didn't do. And when you're ready, we'll move on to part 2 of this session, which is going to incorporate some dribbling in tight spaces, some ball control, some receiving and turning. You're going to start in between green and yellow. Your cones stay the same, but just make sure you have the wall that you're using is lined up only about 1 to 2 steps away from that first cone, maybe 2 to give yourself a little bit more room. Start in between green and yellow. As you pass the ball to that wall or parent or whatever that you're using, come to the ball. Don't just wait for it to get there before that yellow cone. Let's say that yellow cone is a player who wants to get that ball from you. You want to get in front of them and take it around them. Don't give them a chance to get it instead. And then once you receive the ball with an outside touch, take it around the other 3 cones and restart. Then you're going to move on to receiving on the half turn, which means I pass and then I open up my body to face the 4 cones, and I go to a color that is called for me or a color of my choosing, and then I can go around the other cones as I go back and start again. So as soon as I pass, I need to adjust those hips. I can't still be facing the same way that I was when I passed the ball. I have to open up my body to face where I want to go next, which is now in front of me in a different direction. So it's very important that you do turn toward that direction as you receive. You let it come across your body and you receive on the back foot, the foot that is furthest away from the ball. Now, before we do a different receiving on the half turn set of exercises here, where we incorporate more of a touch into space, we're going to do what's called the dummy. So we're going to pass the ball and then we're going to let it go through our legs. So we're not just waiting for the ball to hit us. we are coming to it and then letting it go through our legs. By doing this, by approaching the ball and then letting it actually go behind us, we are fooling defenders because they think that if we are approaching the ball, that means we probably want to take a touch in the direction of our body position. But instead, we're going to let it go behind us and take a touch in a different way. And this is a really effective one to either just let it roll through your legs to another player on your team, or to let it roll through your own legs to then take it into space for you. You can practice some more on the half turn. You can practice some more on the dummies now. Up to you. Practice a bit of both. Do one as a dummy, then do one on the half turn. Have some variety here so you're not just doing the same thing every single time. And if you had a defender, for example, you would then be making it clear as to what you are going to do if you're just doing the same thing every time. So have some variety in here. Then move your cones over to the opposite side so you can now work on the other foot. So I was doing most of that there with my right foot. Now I'm going to be doing it with my left foot a lot of the time. The first one that we started with, again, I'm meeting the ball by getting in front of that yellow cone, getting it there, getting the ball before that defender would be able to get it, taking my touch around them, then through all the other cones. You'll notice I'm not just waiting for the ball after I pass it. I'm getting to the ball and I'm getting there first to take an outside touch, keep it under control. Now the outside touch here, it is one that I know I will get more control on it into my feet rather than into space. And that is why I'm doing it here, because if I took it with the inside of my touch, it might be too strong for what I wanted to do, which is keep the ball under control while I have momentum. So it's a little bit harder to just take it into my feet when I have that momentum. Now move on to the half turn. Take your touch into space, go to a color that's called for you or that you call for yourself. Pass the ball, then open up your hips to take it with that left foot if that's the side you're using right now, and then back around the cones and do it again. You'll notice that touch is not in my feet, it is out of my feet into space, and I'm going to the color that's called for me and then starting the process over again. When I receive on the half turn and I cut it back toward yellow here, it's a bit of a cut back touch where I'm cutting it across my body even though I just received on the half turn. That'll fool a defender because by you opening up your body in that way, they're going to think that you want to go either forward or to the side of you. The last thing they would be expecting you to do would then be to just take it back across your body, since you already shuffled your body in a way where that wouldn't necessarily be the first thing that they would expect you to do. Make sure you do all four colors here because it is a different half turn touch that you get on each one. One to the side of your body where you have to really open up to take it there. One across your body, and then two here that are more in front of you in different directions. Then you can move on again to the dummy where you let it go through your legs and then you take it around the cone that is called, or whatever cone you want, back to the start. Again, soft passes up against your rebounder, whatever you're using. You want to be able to control the ball afterward. You don't want it to be rolling away from you. So have a soft pass, not too soft, of course, knowing that it is coming right back to you. I'm going to practice a few on the half turn here where I'm also just pushing it through red and blue. Different again from just going to red or just going to blue. We're really trying to push it ahead of our body here in one motion, one touch to get it into that space. Not two touches to get it there, not one to receive and one to push through. One touch, pushing it through into space. This is where you practice, where you have space in front of you, you have time in front of you to advance into. How can you get there as quickly as possible? By taking one touch in the direction of where you want to go, not multiple, because another touch will only slow you down. And I advise you to get a drink of water at this point because we're going to be moving on to today's fitness challenge. So you're going to need some energy, have a quick break, have a quick rest, and then get ready to beat my time in this fitness challenge. So this is a bit of an intense one. Again, depending on the space that you have, it really doesn't matter if you don't have as big of a space that you see me having here. This is going to incorporate a bit of a sprint here as well in this fitness challenge. And if you have literally no room that you're using, if you're using a bedroom or a part of your basement that doesn't have much space, that's okay. Just take the space that you have here and adapt based on what works for you. For today's fitness challenge, you're going to start on one side of your cones, go through the other 3, turn back between red and blue to then do a bunch of hops left to right 5 times and then back and forth 5 times. Then sprint through the gap between red and blue to a finishing spot. That finishing spot can even be just a quick sprint with the ball to the place that you started, or if you have more space, it can be right up to the top of your room. Just a quick acceleration of the feet to sprint out. So you can do this however many times you want. I tried to do 5 in a row and time myself doing 5 in a row, and then I switched over to the left side where I started at green instead, and I did 5 of those, and then I stopped. So each set, of course, involves you dribbling through all 4 cones, the hops left to right, the hops back and forth 5 times each, and then the sprint. That is 1, and I did 5 of those. All of these that you're watching here is part of my 5. You can see me getting a little bit tired, I don't know, as I go through this session. That's part of my 5, going from right to left on those cones, and then I'm going to go from left to right on the cones instead, and I'll show you my time on that one. Be careful not to trip on the ball here. Be really, really careful when you're doing those hops. Have an awareness of where the ball is. Make sure the ball stops rolling as well. Don't try and do it when the ball is still rolling. Stop the ball. I don't care how fast you are going and how quickly you want to go and how much you want to beat my time. Make sure that the ball is not rolling when you do your hops. And be careful as well when you're doing the final sprint. Don't crash into anything by trying to do it too fast. Again, if you don't have the space, you could even just sprint back up to where you started. Then do a bit of a cool down, leg movements, dynamic movements, cooling the body down, not just sitting down, lying down right away. Great job. Thank you for watching. Get a proper cool down in, and I hope to see you again for another home training video. If you have any suggestions, if you have any feedback, if something's not working because you don't have the space, please let me know, because I want to help you get better during this period. I don't want to just be doing things that is not working for you, so please feel free to give me that feedback. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time. Have a good one, and goodbye.